Hey folks, welcome to our latest episode of Clam from the Stands. We are live. We're back. Doing it this new way. Still getting used to it, boys. It's funny, isn't it? But here we go. There we go. We got some people watching. That's good. Just making sure it was working. Always a bit nervous until I see that going up. So yeah. Hello folks. I'm good to see you guys. How are we doing? It's been a little bit longer than usual, right?
Has, mate, it has. What's happened?
Lots happened. We've got lots to
What
get into.
games?
We've got lots to get into, definitely. So you both been well?
I've been good, yeah.
Yeah.
Been to more or less all the games apart from last night, so I'm sure we'll get into it.
Certainly will. We certainly get it. Well, folks, that's it. There's a wee like and subscribe button there. Phil likes that up there. There we go.
Get that hat.
Me and Phil were sitting and we were speaking to Big Dave when we were there the last time in his better half, and he was sitting chatting to us briefly about chocolate. So I went out my way and got a club biscuit and a Twix biscuit, who he claims is a chocolate bar. So I've got both that I'm going to have with a cup of tea because they're biscuits.
I'm going to smack a cup of tea and a bag of orange flavoured mini eggs after this. That's what I've got.
It's like crack for diabetics. This is great.
There you go. But yeah, good to see you, boys. I was, and as you know, boys, I was on the 3v3 podcast last night, which was nice to spend some time with the lads. They invited us on. I think we kind of rock paper scissored it, and the boys sent me on there. So yeah, definitely check that out. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Comments are coming in. Sorry. There we go. Evening. Yeah, Craig, how are you? Good to see you, mate. But yes, check it out. They were super interested on that podcast to get like the feel for the Clam fans. And actually, it was funny. I did learn that around the league, the other teams, you know, in football, there's Spursy. They call it Clansy. So there is some humor around it, but also some empathy for us Clan, certainly long time Clan fans, I would say. But no, they speak very fondly of Glasgow. They love coming up to visit. And yeah, they like to see us do better than we've been doing, just not better than their teams, which is fair enough. But yes, it's definitely worth a listen.
Yeah, see with that, Ross, they know that we're champions in waiting. They know that. Everybody knows that. It's just a case of when, mate. I'm telling you. One of these seasons, we're just going to get it right.
We've been waiting for about a few years now.
We are. One of these years, we're just going to blow it apart. And then
that's it. We'll see. So look, let's talk about. You know, I know that there's temptation is to start with some of the off ice news, but we'll get to that. Let's start with the on ice stuff, because the reason we want to start there is massively positive weekend, 4-point weekend, like great result. You know, obviously put a bunch of goals past Dundee, which we will be talking about Dundee soon. Stars in their eyes. Certainly Mickey O'Rourke has stars in his eyes. So. But yes, we again against Storm, a team that's right in the mix with us. So we want a team we're trying to catch up so we can get a better playoff seeding. And I think you said Colin's has pulled some stats, which we'll get him to walk through in a minute. I'll actually pull out some stats that we had shared on Twitter. Right, it's one of our friends on Twitter shared some great stats. I don't know if folks saw those player stats, were interesting. But look, the story, I think we've got to think it's moving. What has it been, 6 to 8 games since we last spoke? A little bit of a mixed bag in terms of, you think, with the first 4 games, a loss to Fife in there, which seems unfathomable, really, right? But we have beaten Storm twice, we've beaten Dundee, and net, like the results of, like, it feels like at the moment, boys, I don't know how you're feeling, that we're just, I know it's off the back of a 4-point weekend, but it does feel that the team are starting to go in the right direction in terms of the results feel positive. And I think I saw a really good stat about win percentage in February, and I think Clam were second in the league. I think it's 59% or something like that. I think I saw. So, listen, Colin, do you want to hit us up with some stats? We can use that because, again, there may be too many games to go into every game. We can pick out certain games as we go through it. Give us some of your stats you've taken some time to pull together for the listeners. And folks, as always, please chime in if you've got any opinions or any stats of your own and you want to call Colin out and his stats or whatever, or debate them, then let us know.
Oh, don't bother. We've got 12 points for the last 16. So 12 points out of 16, which isn't too bad, which is 5 wins, 2 overtime losses and 1 loss. That 1 loss actually came from against Fife. I know that people were asking about netminders and stuff. So Sulea's got the best percentage of all three keepers. He's 92.6%, and he's got a 2.17 goals against average. Sammy's 90.94 and 2.61, and Brian is 89.12 and 3.53 goals against. But the Soulier for me seems to be the hot goalie at the moment. I think he looks as if his confidence has grown with every game. The other thing, over the last 8 games, we've scored 34 goals and we've only conceded 23. Now, granted, it's against Dundee and Fife, but we've also had Manchester twice in there, and we've also had Nottingham, where we had the overtime loss. But Newman has 8 goals and 5 assists in 8 games. Langen has 4 goals and 9 assists in the last 8 games. And Schwartz has 3 goals and 6 assists in the last 8 games. So that's that line that seems to be really producing at the moment. Risk, who we kind of gave a bit of stick to, has 5 goals and 2 assists in 8 games. And Tedesco has 2 goals and 5 assists in 8 games. And Messier, who's just joined, has 4 goals and 1 assist in 6 games.
That's the guy I wanted to talk to you about, lads. That's the guy I wanted to talk to you about. Like, what do we think, by the way? What do we think about Phil, what do you think?
It's still early days, but I had I don't know if I seen it online or I just checked it myself, but since he's come in, it's five games he's played, and it was 4 goals, 0 assists, but so that's just under a goal a game for somebody that's just in the door. Mm-hmm. That's promising. It makes you think, where could this guy be once he gets his feet under the table? So pleasing that he's doing what we kind of hoped Risk would do when we brought him in. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Now, Risk in his last 5 games, he has 2 goals and 3 assists for 5 points. So he's got a point more. Hopefully it was just a case of him getting used to I think, is he a bit younger?
Who?
Risk than Messner. Maybe it's just took him a wee bit longer just to settle in. Maybe he's not got as much experience. That's even if he is younger. I've not checked his age or that yet, but hopefully that's him settled now. And he's scoring like sniper like goals. Do you know what I mean? When he was getting through, it was a really good breakaway, taking the responsibility against Manchester and slotted it. So I'm liking what I'm seeing with Brady Risk, and I mean 4 goals in 5 games just through the door. Loving it.
Yeah, and there you go. Good point from Kyle there as well. Likes. I mean, we were talking. I think we were texting last night, but the power play. All of a sudden, we're starting to see a little bit more production there as well, Phil.
See just on that, Ross. So I had a wee look at that as well. Last 10 games were at 22%, between 22 and 25% in the last 10 games on the power play.
I don't want to kind of bust that bubble, right? But what we do need to remember is it's up against one of the worst power penalty kills in the league against Dundee, and we've also done it against Fife. So there's kind of skewed stats in there a little bit. But
that being said, though, Colin, we were 11% before the change in management with games against Fife.
We've just had that stack of games against Dundee and Fife, and I think that's maybe. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can only play with what's in front of you. I get that, but I
honestly don't think it is just because it's Dundee and Fife, though. You could see the power play improving game by game. So yeah, pleased with that, and I think that's a big reason why we're getting these wins. In fact, we said that even before we went in this run with the power play picking up, that was costing us massively. So now that's the power play is doing its job, it's making the game a bit easier. All these matches a bit easier for us, thankfully.
You've got to look as well, though. Like, I'm going to kind of paraphrase you, Phil, or maybe you, Ross. It looks like the players are playing with a handbrake off. We're not as robotic looking. We're not as easy to read. Like, beforehand we knew we were going to play that same diagonal pass. It was almost very like scripted, and I genuinely think now that there's certain things that happen during the game, and you can even see with the way players are kind of driving the net a little bit more, and you can see. I think the big thing we do lack, and we've lacked all season, is physicality. Like, I really think against Manchester on Sunday, they really were hitting us hard. Granted, one or two of them were a bit sketchy, but what I would say is we definitely lack that physicality without Mackay being there, and to an extent Parry. But apart from that, we don't really have anyone that has that real size and hit like a bone crunching hit. I know, like, I agree with Craig. Risk has stepped up. Actually, looks a little bit more physical. But I just don't think we definitely lack size. That's something that's disappointed me all season, actually.
See, just on Craig's point as well, Cade Nielsen, last two games. Well, I never seen the Manchester game live, but I seen that behind the net pass he done on the stretch and at the boards. Just to get it home. Absolutely brilliant. And then obviously to get the empty net the other night. And I've got to say that Parry as well, we're getting more out of him than I thought we could ever get out of him.
That's what you said, Phil. It's about, like, I go back to the coaching. It's amazing what you get. Like, sometimes you go like, do you know what it is? I think it's like everything in life, right? I know it's going to sound a bit cheesy, but it's belief. Like, see if your coach, like, you feel they believe in you, right? You're Felix Parry, right? You're not going to be a top earner at Glasgow Clan, right? Okay, you've got a role to play, but it's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, how do you? Again, you look at guys. I mean, I know I'm a big Haywood fan, right? Matt Haywood, like, wasn't the most, he wasn't as gifted as some of the other Brits that probably should have had better EIHL careers than he did. But I do think when somebody believes in you and you believe in yourself a bit, like, it's amazing what these guys can do. I think we're starting to see that now, and I think Craig made a good point. Actually, you're seeing that, like Parry, and you're going up with Risk, who we've been a bit critical of and felt like, a bit wah. With Cade Nielsen there, some of it's chemistry, but I do think Mike Serrant definitely comes across to me as one of those kind of coaches that will be giving guys belief. Like, he just comes across that way in his interviews, in terms of, like, he'll be honest and fair. But I do think we're starting to see the benefit of that and the uptick in coaching, and I think that's what we're starting to see across the lines now, which only bodes well, right? Because I think there's more improvement in this team offensively, particularly. I think defensively and goaltending wise, I think we've been pretty decent and solid all season, and I think we still are. But I think it's the offensive side that's been the problem.
Yeah, I measured the Parry situation to actually Jameson.
Yeah,
last year, it was anonymous for us last year, and then he goes to Fife and he's banging the goals in, probably top two lines up there. Change of manager.
Yeah.
That's all you can put that down to.
Exactly. Yeah. Colin, one for you from Stephen. Again, hello to everyone. Thank you for commenting. Maybe getting the stats call. Be interested to know the difference between Starrett and some of the goaltenders. I know it's a small sample size for him, but yeah, do you have anything at your fingertips there? I'm sure Colin will have a look.
He finished the league in 90.84. Save percentage. That was 3.17 goals per average against. He won 24 games and he had 2 shootout wins. That was at 55 games, though. To try and get it at this part of the season would be.
You need to remember what season that was. Do you know what I mean? That was the.
But he was getting
the season when was that the season we lost the first.
That was what he was facing, like 50.
No, that was the year before. That was the year before.
But yeah, so his stats are actually a little bit. I mean, for me, when you're looking at the keepers in the league at the moment, like, some of the guys are pulling 94%, 93%.
Guys, what's your take on the, like, since Stephen's brought up, again, we want to try and get through everything. What's your take on the goalie situation now? There's been, Magic Mike's, flip-flopped a little bit, as I think we kind of felt he might do. Obviously, Sammy went straight back in. Liam then comes in. Like, are we any clearer on, like, do we have it? Is it a 1A, 1B situation and we're comfortable, or do we think that there is a number one and a number two in the? I imagine this. I'm asking it, like, if you're thinking about you get to the playoffs, it's crunch time, right? I think that's What do we think there?
Well, we played Sammy against Dundee, and he played Sule against Manchester, which is arguably a harder game. The week before, we played Sule at home against Fife, and I thought Sammy didn't look as great in Fife. So for me, I don't know if he... I'm going to kind of relate it to the Bryan effect. Like, when there was certain games that when he put Bryan in, and I know he did, like, to be fair, Bryan went in against, like, Belfast and a whole host of other people, right? So it wasn't easy games, but I reckon as he's got these two imports, he's going to go between the two. But I think the harder games, from what I would hope he does, is he puts Sule in until he has a bad one, and then you change it, and then you put them in against maybe potential weaker opposition. But
what do you think, Phil? Are you?
Had I seen the Fife game, I would definitely been Camp Sule, but I never seen it. Colin saying he was a bit suspect up. He felt he was a bit suspect up there. The goal that we lost to was it Dundee?
The first one against Dundee, I thought he would have done better with.
Mate, that guy's smashing that for 5 yards out in front of him. I know, but it could have went anywhere, is what I'm saying.
He didn't really smash it. It literally just went through his 5-hole. I think a keeper of that ilk should be doing better. That's just my opinion. So
I know, but it's a slap shot for 6 yards.
It wasn't a slap shot.
If you watch it back, I thought it wasn't a push. It was a slap.
Definitely
anyway, it was one goal. So yeah, there's a fag paper between them. Do you know what I mean?
Statistically, there's not. There's almost 2 points between them.
Two packets of fag papers between them.
It's a smaller sample size for Sule, but I think
I'm loving that. I said this other week. Like, Sule, delighted we've got him, and it'll only push Sammy, and he'll push Sule.
Yeah, it's a 1A, 1B, isn't it? That's what it feels like.
I don't feel bad with any of them getting in there. Like, put it that way. Like, I don't feel. I think both of them can win us any game on any night, and that's.
Do you know what gives us the option to do as well? Sometimes these situations is there is a matchup thing, right? You know, certainly see now in the season, you know the tendencies of the teams you're playing, right? You know, offensively, and if you've got a goal, you go, look, you know what that, like, the Giants do offensively. You might be like, actually, I fancy Sule's. Like, you think his attributes may nullify a little bit more the things that they do. So I just think it gives Mike Saran a little bit more. Again, normally you don't have that option because you're going to, like, you know, a Brit backup sometimes, which people are reluctant to do. So I do think that the 1A, 1B is good, but I do think come playoff time, it's going to be super interesting. You know, when we come to those crunch games, when it comes to the playoff elimination games, we're having those 2-leg games, it will be super interesting to see who's won the job.
Did we not? This was a long time ago, Ross, but I'm sure me and you was at a game, and I can't remember if it was penalty shots. Something's in my head's telling me Sheffield, and they actually changed. They brought the reserve netminder in to face the penalty shots.
Right,
do you remember that?
I remember that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah, just to back up what you're saying.
Well, it's like you say. Look. Normally it's like 5-hole. Sometimes bigger goalies can kind of struggle with that. So, like, you might have teams that go, they have tendencies like that. So it's like, I just think it's interesting, right? You know, or sometimes you got a goalie that's maybe a bit more aggressive against certain teams because of the way that they play. So I just think it's going to be absolutely fascinating to see who wins. And the good thing is, somebody's going to win the job. I think that's what we all like. They're going to have to go and win it, right? And it could be either of those guys that goes and wins the job. It's probably feels like it's slightly Sammy's job to lose right now, but Liam's getting the opportunities, and I think he's taken them.
I think that's 50-50. What right now with them? Like, I don't mind rotating them in this form.
No, I don't like it when you've got a hot goalie and you put in somebody else just for the sake of giving them games. I think you need to go with a hot goalie. But the bit for me is Sule's outperforming statistically what he should do. He's came with very little experience and he's actually playing above and beyond. But then he has so much more to lose because he's obviously I don't mean a little bit less. Well, he's a lot less experienced than what Sammy is, and he's potentially playing to try and get a job next year, like for a bigger outfit. So you can't really blame him too much. And like I would say, like if you look at it purely from that aspect, Sammy could have a bad season, right, and essentially still pick up another job because he's got history and his stats will tell you that. Because when he came into us, we seen his stats and we thought great, whereas Sully's literally playing to establish himself in Europe. So I think the young guy's done well since he's come in, and I think he's proved me wrong because I thought he was just a cheap option.
There you go. What Colin's basically net about to say.
I do agree with you. I don't like the flip flop neither, to be honest. So I take that back.
Basically, Phil, what Colin's saying is Sully is so hot right now. So hot right now. He's like that. He loves him. He loves him. There we go. We love it. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We had another question. I think it was Ian Judge. Let's get you up on the screen, Ian. Thank you, mate. So what do we think to this, boys? Do we think, based on what we've done over the weekend, and it is, recency bias, we like to overreact. Do we think? I mean, sixth. I'm gonna even change the questioning. Do we even dare we dream of fifth? Like, do we think that we've kind of pushed ourselves into contention now? Ian's asking for sixth, or do you think we could go a place higher than that? What do we think, boys?
It's reliant on people above us now. Like Guildford have found a little bit of form. It looks like Coventry have actually lost form. They're starting to fall away a little bit. They are now just slightly above us. Manchester have kind of fell away, but they still have the potential and the firepower up front to still go. We need to find this form at the right time, and it's getting results against others apart from Dundee and Fife, etc., that is going to distinguish where we end up. And unfortunately, because of where we are in the league now, it's all dependent on other people. We need to hope that they don't hit a fresh run of form and then we're just constantly chasing, because we can win every game for the rest of the year, but if other people in front of us do, then we're no further forward.
Yeah, I think Storm's fixtures are actually all right. They play the Stars and Coventry. I think we play Guildford next, so I think that's huge. I look, certainly sixth is definitely doable, 100%. Like, you just look at the table. I think fifth, you're gonna need us to go on. I don't think like Storm you need to even regress. It's like we need to go on, like you need to win sort of 4 or 5 in the bounce. But again, I will say I still think there's more improvement in this team, but we're going to have to do it against. We have to take points off the likes of Belfast. Like, you look at the fixtures coming up, we are going to have to look at some of those games to try and claw that kind of 5 point. I think it's 5 points, isn't it? Maybe they got a game in hand as well. So the gap is like it's again, not insurmountable, but sixth is, I think, is absolutely, us Guildford, Coventry, it's anyone's to take.
Yeah. I was just looking at the league table there. Yeah, so it's a 5 point swing to catch Storm, and they've got a game in hand. That's a weekend.
Aye, I think so. Again,
that's only a weekend.
Well, it could be 7 points.
See, to be honest, Storm haven't had their bad spell yet, have they?
Yeah,
really?
Now.
What?
Yeah, they're in it now.
They're in it now. Aye, they've hit a bit of a rocky patch. Aye. So that's what's kind of probably put us like, and the fact that we picked up, and
they
again,
got a point Friday night, did they not?
Friday? Yeah, they got an overtime loss, but they've only won 2 games in the last.
I know, but they're not still picking up 1 point. So there'll be a lot. I think there's a lot of overtime losses in that, Colin.
Right, but they've only won 2 games in the last 10.
I know, but it's only 1 more point. It's only. See, as long as you're picking something up, it's not as damaging.
Yeah, they don't need the 2 points like we do. But look, as I say, if we can go like we even win 3 games in the bounce, like that all of a sudden just makes it tight, right? So. Yeah. Look, I do think fifth's not quite out of reach yet. I think sixth is absolutely on the cards, and team trending in the right direction. What have we got? Al Bongo's talking about, Sully for next season and use more budget and forwards. Don't mind that. And Craig's saying, I feel we get Sammy at home on Friday and then Liam in Nottingham due to Sammy's previous injury, maybe. Okay, we got one from Kyle here. We'll get to that question. If we could sign one person for next, let's say we've already got Saigo and Sidorov, right? You got to pick one. Who are you taking?
Newman.
Okay. Phil?
Can you say Schwartz, isn't he?
Well,
I was going to say him, or I was going to say Fram, but I think Phil wants Fram.
The thing is, like, you're right, Colin. It's Newman or Langan all day, but for the person that's no right at the front of your mind. I just love Schwartz, and I love everything.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
I'm loving him.
Would you not re-sign re-sign Fram or Pullman ahead of those guys?
Just think Newman's got a lot of speed.
I'm putting they two in the same bracket as Newman as an obvious pick. Do you know, like out of like the kind of top four?
Do you not think Fram? See, to be honest with you, Val said Pullman. I feel like Fram and Pullman are like two of the best D-men we've had in. Yeah. I'm trying to remember when, but I'm going back to like Jamie Fritsch. I'm trying to think. I'm going back to going like proper like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know why.
You're 100% right. Like, amazing, like absolutely amazing.
I'd be signing one of those, but like I'd be signing Fram or Pullman probably. I don't know. I just feel like. I don't know. I think
it's Rolls Royce, isn't they?
Like, do you know what it is, Colin? Do you know what it is? And this is what it is, Phil. This is why I believe this, right? Is that I feel that like we can go out and just like I think you can go out and get somebody else that's got speed or whatever. Good point by Kyle, like Teppo going under the radar. But
yeah, we spoke about him.
It's those D-men, and we've talked this in this podcast before, where when the Belfast come to town and the Cardiffs come to town, we're always looking at like, you know, lovingly these like big D-men that can skate, can play. You're going, oh, wouldn't it be great to have somebody like that? Like, I feel we've got them for the like. It's been a long time since I've felt we've got D-men that are as good as, you know, most teams in the league. And I think that's
good.
Yeah, so I would be probably going with Fram or Pullman as my.
To be fair, Kyle put up there about Teppo. Me and Phil were talking about Teppo before, and Teppo literally is one of these guys that never really stands out, but he never has a shit game either. He's just one of these guys that's always consistent, and he's always just good in that kind of way. But
I said this on the cast the other week. Like,
yeah,
doesn't he do anything wrong? It's like he just the most efficient guy we've ever had. Does his job and he stamps out at 4:30. He doesn't give you an extra bit of anything. It's like, I've done my job and that's at my way home. I love how efficient he is. It's just like,
I do think though that like if you look at Pullman and you looked at Fram and you looked at Teppo, for example, you do need some size. And I know Mackay's been there, but do you go for something a bit bigger?
Maybe.
I think that's
so. See in the core of the defenders, right? Who stays?
Well, that's
it's probably an easier question. Who goes?
Well, who goes? Look,
upgrade. Who goes?
Dean's just made my point. That's where my initial instinct went was Fram. I do agree he gets into any team in the any team in this league. In terms of who goes, I mean, McKay maybe because of the injury, like maybe because of like health. I do think you got to assess health, right? We know yeah. And McKay has been great since coming back. So I think there's like how
we've already signed Saigo as well. Remember?
Yeah. Well, listen, we've already signed Saigo, so I would say he's one you would maybe ask the question. But honestly, like you want to retain, like see the goaltending
and all. That means you're retaining them all.
Like honestly, like genuinely, there's not like one of the like you want to punt goal like there. You like I genuinely wouldn't want if we could re-sign them all. I'm happy with our decor and our goal. I know the goaltending is probably not realistic. We've got to pick one. I'd be happy with that and the decor that we have. I think McKay is the one that I would argue. Maybe because of injury, I don't know, like age. Again, to me, it's the only way you change it, Phil. For me, is if like you go, oh, we think we could upgrade McKay, or we could upgrade.
Big Silky Mix though, because he comes out with some real plays as well, doesn't he?
This is that. Like Ross, since I know he had that injury and he was out for a bit, but again, he's performed every
night.
He's not had a bad night.
To Colin's point, when I say upgrade, you might go, we want a similar guy, but we want a guy that's got a bit more, it might be just bigger, right? As in like, so it's like you might look at an
upgrade. He's about 6'4".
No, but you mean, but Phil, you know what I mean? We've seen guys that are
more nasty.
Well, do you mean?
I think he is when he wants to be nasty as well. Maybe we just don't see enough of it.
He's not the fear factor, though.
Colin, you know what I mean? He's not intimidating.
You've got to think, like Zach Fitzgerald, right? I know, like, for an example, he had a 20% advantage on MD when he was chasing a puck, and it's not because he had better speed, because he didn't. What happened was the person was constantly looking over the shoulder because they think as soon as he touches that puck, he's going to get absolutely cremated, and that's the difference. But what I would say is my biggest concern is that Fram and Pullman aren't here because we get outbid. Like, as in, somebody will come in and take them away. Now, it'll probably go to a better league.
Yeah, they could easily go elsewhere. I think my point as well, Phil.
Not necessarily with that, by the way. If we are budget-wise where we are...
No, don't look at our league. I'm talking about out with our league. Like, they might go back to, like...
Yeah.
But
if they've been looked after and all that, that goes a long way at this level to retaining players.
I think, and Joe was interesting in last night's podcast, and the 3 and 3 we were talking about, like, they actually think maybe that do we look after players a bit too well? So is that part of the reason we're not, are we heard this from other people, boys, as well, in terms of like how well the players have it at Glasgow, and it's like, that should be something people want to earn the right to be at that club if they get treated really well. I think you're right, Phil. That does go a long way. But yeah, Craig Campbell has some love from McKay as well. And again, I'm not. Again, I'd be happy re-sign them all. I'm delighted. I just think, to your point, Colin, in terms of like the team itself is like we lack. I think if you had a guy that was big and intimidating, it does help a little bit. Now, I wouldn't sacrifice it for a downgrade in capability, right? I think you have to be somebody that could do what McKay does, or even Teppo, and go, they can do that, but they just add that intimidation where required.
Yeah, see like that. You could have forwards that do that. Like third liners, third/fourth liners.
Yeah,
and it means that you're not losing D-men during games. Like Fitzy put us in a lot of holes, him and Fran.
So it doesn't matter whether you've got a forward or a D-man off, you're still going down to 4 players, right? So it doesn't really matter in that aspect, but it's just that way.
Like, losing any of the D, say for talking sake, we did re-sign all the D that we've got just now, we would be putting the team at a disadvantage if one of them's sitting and not a fourth line banger.
I'm not even talking about just like a complete, like, as much as I like a maniac, which is the next person, it's more the physicality, just physically being there. Now, I get Mackay has it, but when Mackay was out of the team, we struggled. Like, we really struggled. And it's something that I think it needs to... I think I was really surprised because Corey Nielsen was renowned for having that physicality in his teams, and we never seemed to have it. So... yeah, but like I said, I think to Craig's other points when he said about the refs in the league, I think the refs in the league really need to step up, like as in and improve, because I think the refereeing in the league is so far behind. As the league has taken off, the refereeing hasn't kept up with the pace. I really think they need to be looking to invest in that somehow, if it's possible. I don't know how it's done, but I just think the refereeing has to be a little bit cleaner and a little bit, sometimes just let the game flow. They're too quick to call the silliest of things. And we didn't come to watch a referees, we went to watch a hockey game, you know what I mean? I'm fed up seeing guys all the time calling things for the sake of calling them.
That's it. Right, let's move on now. I'm going to just give a shout out here as well. Again, I love how you on 2 wheels. I love the handle. So another shout out from Esner as well. Again, he's talking about me bringing him back, saying, look, we've been certainly lacking a sniper. So we'd love to have him back based on what you've seen. So again, like to see that. And then a final question from Fraser before we're going to get to the owner, the news around the dual owned club again, potentially. Fraser's asking, do we think Mike Serran is favourite? So I'll rephrase the question actually, Fraser, if you're okay with that, mate. Do we think Mike Serran's done enough yet to earn the right to be the favourite for the coach's job? Colin's not there yet.
No, he's not. He's never won anything. So for me, I want a serial winner. I want someone that's, and I know it's a kind of bold statement, right? But what happens if he's just picking up the team morale from what we've got, right? How do we know how much involvement was done with players that he brought in, or how do we? So for me, as much as I don't want to kind of start again, if we keep a core of players, I would be looking to invest and get a better, someone that's younger, a bit more I'm not ageist in any way here, right? But someone that's just, if you look at the guys successful in the league, I've said this before, they seem to be that Dyson-esque age, and I think we should maybe try it. We need someone that is a winner, a serial winner.
Well, Colin's going to take pelleters for going after Magic Mike, everyone's favourite wee da. That's it. There you go. What do you think, Phil? Do you think he's done enough in your mind to be considered for the coach's job seriously?
Yes, he's. I think it was Big Dave. I think I seen it on Twitter the other day. Somebody asked the same question, not on the cast, not for the cast, and he pointed out, I think we'd picked up points in 6 in the last 8 games. I think that was before the weekend there as well. So that would put us somewhere around 8 and 10 games we've picked up points. So that's more than 50% or 40%, which is where we were sitting with old Corey boy. Well, I understand what Colin's saying, right? But everything other than Mike Serrant is a risk, and what I mean by that is we know what we're getting with Mike Serrant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying give him the job, but I just hope that, I mean, if he continues in that vein of form, right? Say we continued at 65%. That's roughly, I'd say, where we are since he's took over. You can't not give him the job for me. But my question, to even rephrase the question a bit more, is it a lazy appointment?
So look, you mentioned Big Dave. Big Dave did hit us up on Twitter. He asked us for thoughts on Mesner. We're giving you that, Dave. He's asked about the goaltending situation. We're giving you that as well. He's asked about Mike Serrant as well. Is it lazy? Look, I don't know if lazy is the right word. It might be. I don't know if lazy is the easy one, isn't it? It's like you're just going to the easy is the path of least resistance. And
that's no.
And I know what you mean.
That doesn't give you any crunch.
There's rumors about Pete. I got asked this in the 3 and 3 podcast last night. There's rumors about Pete Russell and stuff like that. And I said, look, Pete Russell's kind of like going back with an ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend, right? I'm like, doesn't use the word. I just feel he'd leave. I don't think he'd be here that long, right? I think something better will come along. It just has that feeling. That was probably the last season, like in terms of like a coach that we've had that I thought the style match what I would like to see, that I think is winning hockey in this league. That's the last time probably I felt that way. But yeah, I don't know. I think, look, Mike Serrant he's. I know what you mean, Colin. I do understand what you're saying because you're not going to liken it to, and again, I know Colin mentioned about ages, but it does feel a bit like the kind of like the Martin O'Neill at Celtic. It's like, I know that Mike Serrant's not been here, is not a club legend, but it's like I think I can't answer the question until we get to the playoff, till we get to crunch time, right? I think that's where I'll be able to go. If I believe, if Mike Serrant gets us to the playoff weekend and even gets us there and get like that is a huge accomplishment for Clan. I don't know. I think
what
that
a non-controversial answer.
I know. I don't know.
Well, see if you judge it in the next 6 games. We've got Guildford, Nottingham, Cardiff, Coventry, Belfast, and Belfast, right? So it's basically we've got 6 games, right? And see if he does something then. Would I change my mind? Probably not.
I'm going to judge it in those games and not the weekend, because getting to the weekend is 2 games, essentially. So I'm not going to give him the job or not give him the job on that. Colin's right. You've got to judge him over the longer period of time. It doesn't make sense to just judge it and get into the weekend or not, because we could be hopeless between now and then. Then he gets us to the weekend, we all feel good. Is that the right time to make a decision like that?
I don't know. I think a lot of it depends on as well this director of hockey operations are set and how. So I find it a hard one to answer right now. Like for all the reasons you said, Phil. Like in terms of like, I didn't mean like I'd only just do it if he gets there.
That DOHO thing was.
Yeah. But no, I think you're right. I think if we finish 6th or 5th, like if we 5th or 6th, right? He takes us on that kind of tilt at the end of the season, and we get like. I think he has to be seriously looked at and considered to say he's demonstrated enough. And again, this is a team that he's not himself been, definitely fully responsible for recruiting. So I think he's definitely put himself now into the mix where he has to be considered.
Right, I'll throw something to the two of you then, right? If Dyson, we'll rule it Pete Russell, right? If Dyson had an opportunity to come back and be a manager, right, just be the head coach and do his thing, or you could keep Mike Sarant, what are you doing?
I would.
Would you stick or twist? Is basically what I'm saying.
I think for me the problem I have, Colin, is I'm a Dyson that I backed that appointment then, so I have to back it, right? So I think he's got the chops. Now, do I think it might be a little bit more bumpy in the short term? Yes, but I think he would be there for a good period of time. And I don't know Mike Sarant's situation. I don't know, so I feel I've got to back my confidence, my convictions. I believe Dyson was the right appointment we didn't make, so I would have to go that way. And I do think you make a good point, Colin. It depends on the alternatives as well, right? You look at Mike Sarant, you look at his body of work at the end of the season, and you look at who else is available, and you have to make a decision based on that, right? That is a factor. If you think there's somebody available that can elevate the club and elevate the level of coaching, then I think you've got to go make that decision.
Well, we've done. If you look at the past, right, we've went with like Corey coming back, who was tried and tested in the league, and it didn't work. We went back with when it was Fitzy, it didn't really work. Then we pulled other coaches in from other places, it didn't work. The only thing we've not really done is went with a really young guy, like for example, a Dyson Stevenson who's just playing. So I think it's one of those ones that if you continue to do the same things and expect a different result, that's the first sign of madness. So why not try something different? And granted, nothing's guaranteed to work, right? But look at what other teams in the league are doing. They're trying that, and it seems to be working. I mean, look at Fife, for example. They've had two older guys, and they've done nothing, literally nothing. Yeah. And I genuinely do believe that the more I think about it, someone like Dyson Stevenson or a younger coach is probably the way forward, because hockey has now evolved since we originally started watching it, and we need to move with the times. And these younger guys are coming off that playing style, so they understand it a little bit better and they can influence the players a little bit better. So that's my kind of tuppence worth in that, but that's just what I've been thinking, really.
Just to come in the back of what you're saying there, Colin, I don't want another 50-something coming in unless it's Mike Sarant. But I suppose that's kind of where I'm at with it. I don't want us taking a risk in another Cameron or somebody of that ilk, when we shouldn't really be judging it on age, but we are. So I just, if we're going to go down that route of a younger coach, then that's the way Mickey sees the club moving forward, then that's fair enough. But how old is Mike Sarant? Does anybody know?
No one knows. Not even Wikipedia.
He's not young anyway. He's not just not playing.
He looks energetic. He looks like he's up for
mid to late 50s.
Maybe he's got to be in consideration again.
I wouldn't want like Thompson, somebody like that coming in and Mike getting put out for somebody like that. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, well, look, we're going to get some Twitter stuff real quick. I do want to give a couple of shout-outs there. Obviously, got Big Dave, Rod Massey. We're going to get to your question. Graham did ask, is Mesner better than Sidorov? I think potentially. When you know my views on Sidorov, I think he's good. I don't think he's great. EIHL Fanforge really put some great stats. You look on the Twitter comments, he's actually put some great in-depth player stats. Got some of Mick Mesner there, quite impressive. Tedesco actually more impressive than people realize, maybe. So thanks for sharing those. They were, really interesting. And then we do have a lot of questions like David, Rory Martinek as well about, talking a little bit more about the coaching situation, but also like the structure situation in terms of what that's going to look like. So let's move to that now. I think we've, by the way, had some problems with the Facebook feed, but the YouTube one is still live. So get us on, for those that are with us on
everybody YouTube. Subscribe to YouTube.
I can do that. Say it again, Phil. Go for it.
Everybody subscribe to YouTube. It's no blinked the whole time. Can't trust Facebook. Stick to YouTube.
There you go.
Ross has got his wee button that he's pushed. It's like almost like you say it, he's going to push a button.
That's it.
Ross, I can't see these followers going up, mate. What's happening?
Wait, this is it. Okay, the breaking news we all had, we're going to just use it for fun. It's not breaking right now, but we did have some breaking news, didn't we? That the Dundee Stars are being acquired by a new owner, and that owner is...
Well, an owner in partnership.
Yes, is familiar to the clan. So how are we all feeling about that news, boys? Dual owner, like we thought we were out of the dual ownership era. Now we're back in it, but it's with another Scottish team just up the road in Dundee, who we know very well.
They're keeping their owners on as well, aren't they? So, I mean, I'm not sure. Like, I don't think this guy is the same as Neil Black because he has far more money than Neil Black, right? But it still goes back to that old school way of, are we not getting that and they're getting this? And if they sign better players than we do, then why is that? And we don't get this kind of player. And are we the Nottingham Panthers in this relationship this time? Yeah, kind of way, is it?
That's the main question, isn't it?
Mike Surrant, 66, by the way. There you go.
Wow.
Thanks, Scott.
There you go. Thanks, Scott. Yep. But yeah, but I'll talk a little bit. I did talk in the 3 and 3 podcast. They asked me specifically about this last night, so I will talk about it. Look, I think if you take a step back as an EIHL fan, this seems like a good thing because, you know, look at what's happening at Fife. It feels like meltdown in Fife at the moment, which is not good for the league, right? In terms of we don't want teams on the brink or dropping out. So the fact that Mickey Rooksies is investing in the league, right, I think is a good thing, right? And we don't want to end up being the only Scottish team in the league, right? I don't think that's good for the league. I don't think that's good for Clan. But on the flip side, when you look at it as a Clan fan, you do then start to worry a little bit about, well, this is what I said last night. I don't know what you think about this, boys. My feeling is, well, we had this weight off our shoulders after coming out of the Neil Black era, and again, some of the pain we endured as Clan fans. And we felt everything was going to change. And as we know, the on-ice side of things has not got really much better. I know we're talking positively now because things are going, we're maybe turned a corner this season. But net, even under new ownership, it's not got better. I think roles and responsibility has been very unclear in terms of Murph's role versus, you know, Jerry seems to be now taking more of a prominent role again, but he felt he was in the background more before with this new guy coming in for the arena. It all seems very unclear. And I guess my concern as a Clan fan is this on to the next new shiny thing? And we're like, well, wait a minute, guys, like the on-ice side of things here, like I know you're selling the arena out and you've got arena events going on, but like we don't feel like it doesn't feel like this is a job well done, right? And then the concern is then does that take focus away? Now the argument might be maybe it feels to me, I don't know you boys, the way that I'm reading between the lines here, I have been noticing Murph seems to be less front and center on some of the social stuff and the post-match stuff, and it's more Jerry. I don't even notice that. And this becomes, does his role change? So they're the questions I've got. I don't know how you guys are feeling the same thing in terms of maybe a little bit of concern that, you know, a dilution of focus may not be the best thing, or is it going to be you're going to have we'll have people in place as more structure, this new director of hockey operations, that may be why that role's come up, because they obviously knew this was happening. But, you know, like people like Murph feel like they've been overly involved in a lot of the player side of things. Be very interesting to me to see how this all pans out from that perspective. But what do you think?
I think like we just really need to concentrate on hockey now. If I'm totally honest, I like Jerry in that, right? But I really don't care who's doing what in the background. I just want to turn up and see a competitive hockey team that's exciting to watch and puts points on the board. I couldn't give a toss like if Santa Claus was doing anything in the background. I really don't. I would much rather turn up because I don't have to look at these guys unless it's in a thing in cat. I can turn that off. But when I'm turning up at a hockey match, I want to see the guys on the ice perform, be committed, and basically give us something that we can stand up and cheer for.
Okay, Phil, how do you feel about it?
When I first heard that, I hated it. Absolutely, I hated it. Just because what we went through the last time with it. But Mickey isn't Neil Black for a start, right? So we need to remember that. Neil Black was just a complete dickhead as far as I'm concerned. That's the way, and he never had the fact that we were second in the pecking order with everything. So nobody knows the reasons why Mickey's done it, but just to get back to what you said at the start there, Ross, I think he's protecting his investment at Clan maybe at some level. And what I mean by that is if Fife disappear, because they're in absolute chaos, and then Dundee, and if Dundee were to go next, for instance, for talking sake, that just leaves us up here. I don't think the Gates would struggle, to be honest, because we're filling that arena every single week now. But it's health. If there's a strong Dundee, we'll just talk about Dundee just now. If there's a strong Dundee, it's a better game for us to go to because it's a local derby. If this was like 5 years ago, I think saving Dundee would be for his financial gain because they bring a lot of fans every time they come down and stuff, that sort of thing. So
it must make business sense though. He wouldn't buy it if he's going to lose money.
We're getting told how he's not making any money at Clan, blah blah blah. We're running at a loss and all this stuff. But now he's went and bought into another club that's not get half the population of what Glasgow's got. But that doesn't make sense to me. He must be making money somewhere.
Well, do you know what I was going to say? I mean,
he's not just bought that in a Hail Mary. You know what I mean? He knows.
Yeah, the only other thing, I don't know how it works. So again, don't quote me on that. I don't know the ins and outs. Just maybe it's the cynical side of me sometimes. And Kyle's post here, there is talk of this team in Dublin. You do wonder if kind of like you buy a team, you go, oh right, well Dundee aren't doing so well. We can wrap that up, and then the Dublin team will take that spot in the league, right? So there is a bit of like, if that's the grand plan. Listen, you see it more in American sports with the franchise model, right? You buy the franchise and you can move but I don't know how it works in terms of entry to the EIHL and all that stuff. I hope that's not the case.
I don't think that's the case, Ross, because we're looking to expand the league.
I'd hope so. I think the problem is right now, that the expansion of the league looks ropey based on Dundee and Fife this year, right? I'm more worried about losing teams and gaining teams that can add something to this league. So
if this saves Dundee,
100%, I agree. This is
Fife get the house in order. The Dublin team will be happening whether Dundee or Fife dissolve or not. Is what I'm saying. I think that's pretty much. There's too much talk about that for that not to happen. I think so. And plus, ice hockey's massive in Ireland now because of the Giants. So, not the north-south rivalry and stuff like that. They'll relish that.
They'll get one game where they don't have to travel.
That'll be another.
Just across the
border. That. See, to be honest, they deserve that. It must be shit for them having to get the ferry every single day away from home. You're going.
Talking about Giants, I mean, they've been on some run. They were like not even in contention at one point, and they're now nearly, I think they're 8 points ahead with a game in hand.
Yeah,
they are. Well, they are really one you want to avoid.
Definitely. Well, listen. Let's wrap up now because we're kind of coming up time. I think we'll, people's attention spans, etc. Let's look ahead to the next. I always try and look at the next 4 games probably, but the next time we'll talk will be just after that batch of games. So we do host the Guildford Flames on Friday before we travel to Nottingham on Saturday, and then the weekend after, Friday the 13th, we host the Cardiff Devils at Braehead, and then we travel the Saturday after that down to Coventry, who are right there with us. So again, playing 2 teams, Coventry and Guildford, right in the mix with us. So 2 important games, and then obviously a home game against Cardiff, but away to Nottingham. How are we feeling about the games? What's that?
Just 2 game this week.
2 the next 2. Yeah, it's 2 games. So Guildford at home, Nottingham away, Cardiff at home, Coventry away. So what are we thinking in terms of like? Are we confident going into into all of those games? Do we think there's points for us in all 4 of those games? We always try and do that. What do we think in terms of the point haul we're going to take from those 4 games, based upon how we're playing?
I think if we're going to get to 6, we need to beat Guildford, Coventry, etc. above us. I think if we get anything out, then Nottingham are beatable now. They aren't in that run anymore. Cardiff are a kind of hit and a miss. They either absolutely destroy teams or they get leveled themselves. I think Belfast, I don't expect anything from that game, to be honest. They seem to be pretty strong.
No Belfast game. That's after the country. That's after.
Sorry.
4 games.
Oh, you're just looking at the 4? Yeah. I mean, I don't expect... I don't know. It's hit and a miss. This is when Mike Serrano learned his crust, like, to see how good we actually have became, if you know what I mean. So, Guildford, I think, we need to take points off them. They seem to have our number. I know we've beat them once, but it's just... They're the team we're trying to catch. Them and Coventry above us. So,
in my opinion,
we fucking match up with Coventry is really annoying me and all. So that's really annoying me.
And
I think we're going to beat the two at Guildford and Coventry. That's my 2 wins, and I think if we can get a point in 1 or 2 of the other games, that would be great.
I think we take a scalp. I think we take Nottingham or Cardiff scalp. I think we take one of them. I think maybe Cardiff at home, because it's at home. I fancy a scalp, and I think the challenge for me is that I actually think we've probably got to win the Guildford. Look at the remaining fixtures, because after that, Colin, you're right, there's a double header against Belfast. I think we finish on a double header against the Steelers, which you hope maybe their destiny's settled. That might help us. And there's like 4 games in between that. We got Dundee, Fife, Guildford again, but you're kind of running out of points here, or out of games, right? So I do think that these games, especially the Guildford at home, we've got to win our home games. I think Guildford and Cardiff at home, you've got to target 4 points, and you've got to go and steal 2 points from Nottingham or Coventry. And Coventry right now, like you say, Colin, hopefully maybe still not firing all cylinders. Been a bad matchup for us all season, but maybe it's time for Magic Mike to turn that around. And I think we need minimum 6 points to continue this push, so we can be looking up at like 6th and maybe dream a little bit beyond that. But I think if we don't, if we're below 50% in these next 4 games, we're going to be back in it's going to be tough.
You've got to think of the matchups, aren't you? Right. So if you get to 5th or 6th, you're going to come up against Nottingham or Cardiff, really, right? Because it'll be Sheffield and Belfast, and I reckon if you play Belfast, they'll ruin you. I think they've just got that. They've got that skip now where they're all clicked and they're just so far ahead.
Yeah. See if we're going to get 2 wins. Obviously, I want it against the Coventrys and the Guildfords, because there's no point losing to them and winning another 2 games, because that doesn't help you in the standings.
Pointless.
You know what I mean?
It's just
pointless.
So it doesn't matter.
If we're going to lose 2, then I don't want to lose any of them, obviously, but I would prefer it to be those other 2 games, and then we can at least gain some ground on them, the other 2 on the nights that we play them, and then hopefully that shatters our confidence and they also get beaten other games. Do you know what I mean? I mean, we've got to do Coventry this time. I just think we've got to do them. We're playing well.
I think we are.
Really well now.
I think we're playing with confidence, Bill. I think that Guildford, you got to win that game. You go down to Nottingham. That's a wee bit of a free hit, and then you got look. It's tough. It's 2 games in 2 days. Look, we've got 2 goalies. We can freshen the goaltending up, which is great. I think
lines again.
I think we got to be aiming for a minimum of 6 points.
Yeah.
And I think you're as I said, we're gonna go and we have what's that? I think that David said that is a little bit of a concern. And we had Dion.
He's amazing.
Fazio is we're gonna have to solve for that. But
who's Brett Newman?
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna look. I think that I think we've got to aim for 6 points. I feel pretty bullish on how we've been playing recently and the confidence in the team. Proof will be in the pudding. I think we've got to go in. The reason I say that, I think the 2 Belfast games, anything you can get out of those games is a bonus. So if we get 6 points minimum out of these next 4, I think that does set us up for that run towards the end where we might have destiny more in our own hands rather than relying on other people, which would be nice. And a strong finish to the season with a decent playoff seeding, which means we can dream of a trip down to Nottingham for the playoff weekend. So
sorry, Dean. Guildford's toast. Sorry, mate.
There you go, Dean. That's it, Dino. We'll maybe get that's it. Hopefully, if you're coming up for it, mate, we'll let us know. But if not, we can catch you after. But listen, I'm gonna call it there. Just under the hour, I think. Now, are we just tipping on the hour? I think. Yeah, look at that.
59:31. You're all right.
Listen, thanks to everyone for listening. Sorry about the Facebook thing. It was something that said that the connection lost. That this platform told me it was a Facebook issue. Wasn't able to sort it on the fly. We'll have a look at it and make sure we'll keep that going. But YouTube is solid, Phil. So Phil built a strong YouTube channel. So well done.
This will be straight up anyway. So anything that get missed,
you can catch up on. Exactly. But yeah, thanks to everyone for all the comments. Again, makes it way more fun. Thanks again. Tried to get most of the Twitter stuff as well. And yes, we will hopefully see you at the arena on Friday. If not, enjoy the live stream. And as we always say, Phil, on the mighty.
Come on the mighty.
On a clan.
On a clan.